So you're Christian, you claim to be a submissive woman. Wouldn't the submissive thing be if your ultra wealthy husband said, I don't want you, and he's Christian, and he's like, well, I believe you practicing tarot cards is, I don't know the specific word, it's is it a blasphemy or is it like a, what is it, Andrew? It's not like kosher or not copacetic.
It's a heresy.
Heresy, thank you. He's like, that's heretical. You're a Christian, I'm a Christian. I'm also a trillionaire. I don't want you practicing tarot cards anymore. Do you do it?
For me, okay, so my relationship with God is much more important than my relationship with my husband, who's a trillionaire. So for him to, I guess, make that or try to put that belief onto me is...
Tarot cards. The hill you die on is tarot cards.
It's not even about just the tarot cards. I also have a sense of my own pride.
Wait, sorry, Andrew. Before I have you, I know you want. Wait, what the fuck? What happened here with the? Oh, okay, that's fine. I have a question for you. Would you want your boyfriend or husband to take a bullet for you?
Look at that.
Just hide it.
I mean, I would do it for him, so maybe yes. Like my husband,
Can you close
yes.
the door? You'd want him to take a bullet for you?
Yes.
Bro, these girls literally want you to die and provide for them, but they won't bow. They won't give up some heresy. They won't give up tarot cards. She wants her husband to take a bullet for her, but she won't give up her tarot cards. Make it make sense. I got to take a smoke break. Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, I just wonder if you can help me out with a couple of things. So I'm not gonna beat you up. I understand. Yeah, I was just going to ask you a couple of quick questions. I understand that you could be quite new to your faith. Is that what's going on?
Sorry, what did you say?
Are you new to your faith?
I wouldn't say
It's Emma. It's Emma, right?
Irene.
Is that your name? What's that?
Irene.
Irene. Okay, sorry. You're new to your faith, Irene?
I'm rediscovering it.
Okay, gotcha. Just so you know, in tarot, I just want to ask you just a quick question. Do you use tarot to figure out kind of future events or current events?
No, I do not. Or current events, in a sense, yes, but I never use it to predict the future. I don't do any predictive readings. It's much more of a tool to kind of get the general idea of what's going on.
And do you have a spirit guide?
Well, I wouldn't say a specific spirit guide. I do pray to God before I start my tarot readings.
Yeah, and when you're looking at tarot cards for current events, do the tarot cards ever lead you in such a way where you know what current events are, or give you some type of insight into them?
Yes.
Okay. Leviticus 19:26, do not practice divination or seek omens. You're doing both. Hang on, you're doing both things. You're seeking omens and practicing divination. Divination would just be trying to figure out currently what is going on through some type of externality, which is other than God. That would be divination, and then omens would be the exact same thing, right? You're looking at the cards for omens of what will happen or has happened or is happening.
So I have done a lot of research on this because of a lot of people who have a lot of controversial opinions when it comes to tarot. And my argument is that when people have maybe like Christian people wouldn't call it mediumship abilities, but gift from God and ability to see more than, I guess, like other people who may not be considered, I wouldn't say like I'm chosen or anything, but there are those kinds of people within the Bible. So would that be considered the same thing or not? Like to be able to use your gift that was given to you by God.
There's a distinct difference between revelation and utilizing tarot cards, which would be external to God's revelation, right?
It's because it's a tool?
Yeah, well, what tools are... Let me ask you something. Where do you get the idea for what divine authority is? What is that to you? Is that just God?
To me, divine authority is belief in a higher power and having faith in a higher source.
Okay, for you, is that Jesus Christ?
Yes.
Okay, and so you are beholden to Christ's word, and you believe that Christ is God, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if Christ is God, you have to admit that this is the God of the Old Testament as well as the New Testament, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if that is the case, Leviticus 20:27, a man or a woman who is a medium or a necromancer shall surely be put to death. They shall be stoned with stones. Their blood shall be upon them. Does it sound like they want to see any divination, witchcraft, anything like that?
Okay, so I have read that verse many times, and it's just a bit hypocritical and ironic when a lot of people are able to just pick and choose which verses that they want to use to be able to judge other people, but there are many Bible verses that mention how no one should be able to judge anyone but God. So I just feel it's
Which ones?
Well, I can't, honestly, I don't have it at the top of my head. But there
Yeah,
are
do you
many.
know what? The Bible actually instructs you the opposite way, that you're supposed to use righteous judgment, especially as a Christian, so that you can judge the fruits of what is a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
How else would you know what is evil if you couldn't use judgment? How could you even know? Like, how would you know what to stay away from and what was evil, what was bad, if you couldn't use judgment?
Okay, that's a good point, but I also don't think it's up to people to decide what is righteous. It's almost like having that belief.
Now, then who is it up to?
God.
And then what did God instruct you not to do?
I don't really want to argue about this because this is something that I'm still rediscovering within myself. And of course, I knew that there are going to be many people who pull Bible verses to come against me and my practice. But I mean, that is what I believe. And I don't think there's much up for argument there.
So even if you were wrong, you believe it anyway?
I can't say that I'm wrong, though.
Okay, well, how do you know you're right?
I'm not saying I'm right either, and that's why I'm telling you that I'm rediscovering this part of me with my connection.
Well, who would you go to determine if you were wrong or right when it came to spiritual matters?
God.
You're going to go to God, and does God talk to you?
I just pray to God I'm able to get more clarification that way, and if I do seek a mentor, then I will, a trusted mentor that I truly believe they have a really good connection to God as well, but I don't...
How do you know that you don't suffer from affirmation bias, where even though tons of people have told you that this is not Christianity, that you just choose not to believe them because you don't want to believe them? How do you know that that's not the case?
I've gone through a lot of spiritual warfare, debating between if this is right or wrong. I've prayed many times about it. I truly believe that God does give gifts to people. I'm not saying oh wow, I have the ultimate gift here, but there are many people who have gifts from God, and my question is, what would make it wrong for them to use that gift?
Nothing? Yeah, nothing would make it wrong for them to use a gift from God. But we are specifically instructed as to what is and is not gifts from God. Tarot cards are not gifts from God, right? We are instructed in this in Leviticus, but also even in the New Testament, we're instructed in this multiple times by Christ's apostles. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any gifts from God. Why would I ever say that? I'm just telling you that we have 2,000 years of Christian history of every single saint who exists explaining that this is not the thing that you should ever gravitate towards, and even Protestants know that this is so. And why is it that you have decided you figured it out and all of them were wrong?
And I've been constantly telling you that I am still rediscovering this, and so
What does that mean, though, rediscovering it? When somebody corrects you, you don't take correction, or? How do you rediscover a thing if people who do the thing tell you this is the wrong thing and you go, well, okay, but let me rediscover it? Like, what does that mean, rediscovery? What does that even mean?
Just like you mentioned about like having the righteous judgment, everyone should have their own free thought. So I'm not going to just allow for people to correct me and just go based on that. It's
Well, then who's allowed to correct you? Whoever you think is correcting you based on your affirmation bias or confirmation bias? Who's allowed to correct you? Like, who's the person who's allowed to tell you, okay, what you're doing here is wrong and here's all the proof? Who's the person who's allowed to do that? Just you? Are you the ultimate arbiter of what is Christian and what is not? Like, who is?
I think the whole journey of spirituality and finding your
Journey.
religion
No, it's a journey. Yeah. Everything's a
is
fucking
about
journey
you
with
finding the impartial like opinion yourself, finding these things and allowing yourself to almost formulate your own free thought in relation to your connection to God. But I don't think that if
How do you know it's not a demon? How do you know that? How do you know you're not talking to a demon? How do you know it's not a demon who's chatting with you?
I don't think a demon would be the one who leads me back to my faith in Christianity.
Really? Why not? Especially if you're, let's assume for a second that you were utilizing such a bastardized form of Christianity that you could not separate it from modern Satanism and you just called it Christianity. Wouldn't a great deceiver convince you that a thing which was not Christianity was Christianity? So how do you know that it's not a deceiver?
I'm still figuring that out right now.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, I'll turn it over to Brian.